Hey guys, with 11th edition on the way and me planning on playing a rather large orc army for that edition, I thought it was about time that I got a Ghazghkull painted up and ready for the tabletop. Unfortunately, I do not own the new Ghazghkull yet, so what am I going to do? I'm going to go back and paint the original Ghazghkull for no other reason other than it's an awesome model that deserves to be painted. Before I get into the video, I just want to say a huge thank you to everyone there that supports the channel by watching the videos, liking, commenting, and making sure you subscribe. Those things are all amazing. Thank you guys so much. And for everyone out there who goes the extra mile and subscribe to the Patreon, linked down below. All of you guys are amazing. You literally keep the lights on, the cameras rolling. And I try to give back to you guys as much as possible with extra videos, podcasts, giveaways, and all those other bits and pieces, including private Discord server, which is a pretty cool place to be. This month's giveaway, so if you're in the Patreon this month, one lucky member will win this Raider box set for the new Eldar models, and I will ship it anywhere in the world at my expense. Like I said, all you need to do to be in a chance of winning that is be signed up to Patreon at any tier. Okay, without further ado, let's dive in and paint up this awesome original Ghazghkull that was very kindly sent to me by one of the people that watches me. He heard me talking about wanting to do a 2nd edition orc army on the channel, and he just jumped out and said, I have a Ghazghkull. It's unfortunately missing the banner pole and the Mordecai, I'm not going to grab that goes with him, which is unfortunate, but I will just leave that to one side and I will just paint up the awesome Ghazghkull for now, and hopefully over time I can replace those two missing components. So to that person, I don't know if they want their name shouted out, so I'm not going to say it, but big thank you. You know who you are. Thank you so much for sending that model out. I really do appreciate it. So yeah, let's dive in and get the model done. Okay, and this is the Ghazghkull miniature, which that a very kind person sent me. It was already pretty well stripped, but it just had some old gunk and grime still in the recesses. So I did leave it overnight in some isopropyl alcohol, and then I just used a toothbrush and just gave a little scrub to try and remove any of the extra debris and bits and pieces that were left in, you know, just in like armpits and corners and all those kind of stuff. There's always usually something left behind, and I'm a bit of a stickler for that kind of stuff, so I'll try and remove as much of it as possible. I then cut out some cork because I plan on putting this guy in a 32mm base, which I know is not standard for 2nd edition, but he by no means fits on a 28mm, which is what he used to come on. This is him on a 32, and as you can see, he's made for it. It's much better fit for him. And if I ever play 2nd ed games with him, no one's going to mind. Obviously, I carved it down to make it look like he's standing on top of some rubble. And then I gave him a nice spray of black and then a nice spray of a nice wraithbone color to get some warmth into it. And then the painting began. So obviously Ghazghkull Thraka is supposed to be a goth, which means he's supposed to be black. There's lots of black armor and black cloth and black material. And I find that to be just quite dark and quite dull, and it's not really something that screams out as very interesting for me. So I decided that my Ghazghkull model is going to be, I don't know, seconded to the Speed Freaks, which is where I like to have my Evil Sun's army. So lots of red. So I'm going to kind of supplement all of the black areas with red, his armor panels and his plates and stuff like that. And I think this is going to give me a much more kind of regal and awesome looking Ghazghkull. After this, we added some black areas, all of the kind of fur trim across this model. I did this fairly quickly because of the white, red, and green. He was starting to look a little bit like Santa Claus, and that is not what we're trying to achieve here with this awesome 2nd edition model. Now, I don't know whether you guys seen any of my previous videos, but I did kind of an unboxing video with something that I found or someone that was gifted to me, which was an old 4th edition box set, and it had such a random kind of selection of bits and pieces in it that was some old hobbyist's collection. I managed to salvage an old 2nd edition metal dreadnought and did a video kind of remaking that. But there was a whole heap of plastic 2nd edition orks and 2nd edition Gretchen in there. So someone had obviously at some point gotten the 3rd edition or 2nd edition starter box, and they just had never really touched those miniatures. So my collection so far for my 2nd edition Space Orc army is a bunch of Gretchen, a bunch of standard plastic orks, which are all the same sculpt as each other, and Ghazghkull. So I have a ways to go before I have an actual fighting force. I have, a friend of mine says he has an old war wagon that I can use as well, which is good. That'll add the first piece of armor to this. And then it's kind of depressing when you go on like secondhand sites and look for old Space Orc models. They seem to be one of the most expensive 2nd ed or second-hand collections to buy. All the kind of elite guys, they just go for so much money, and I'm just not willing to spend that on 2nd edition models. So it's kind of depressing, so I'm going to have to figure out a way of getting my hands on some other models and getting that force together. My friend already has a fairly comprehensive 2nd edition Space Marine army, so we're going to get those two forces on the table at some point soon with a 2nd ed set of terrain. and play some awesome games. He's going to show me how second edition works. I obviously came into the game in third. I never played first or second. So I'm, like I said, I'm excited to see how those crazy rule sets work. I've watched a few battle reports. They seem kind of convoluted and complicated and mental. But he's quite good at rules and stuff, so I'm sure he can hold my hand and walk me through how it's played, and we can have a little bit of a good time. As you can see, I'm getting through applying all the base coats onto the model now, and I'm starting the shading process, which will be a full coat of sepia from head to toe, from gun to sword across this model. It's going to get shaded in, and it's going to make it look really, really nice. From here, now that we have the shade on and it's dry, we know where we can start putting all of those highlights. And the skin is one where I think I got a nice skin tone by the time I was finished painting it. I think I did like 3 or 4 layers of highlighting. But I didn't achieve the kind of toxic green look that I was hoping for. I don't really know what combination of colors or paints you're supposed to use to get that second edition, you know what I mean, like radioactive looking skin that orcs sometimes have. If anyone knows what the actual old heavy metal style, or any of you amazing painters out there know the like triad of greens that is used to get that tone, please don't hesitate to put in the comments below. That would help me out immensely. There's not a huge amount of skin on this Ghazghkull. It's literally just that little bit of his face and his right hand is visible. So if I need to go back and just repaint those sections to make it the green that I want, I will do that. If I never have to repaint it, that's also okay. Like I said, I'm fairly pleased with the result that I did get. It's just not what I was aiming for. Even though I went all the way up into moot green and that still seemed quite dull. And then I mixed a little bit of bone into moot green to try like a final highlight, which I think maybe it washed it out a little bit. It's kind of hard to know. I do very much enjoy painting older miniatures. They're a lot of fun. Even this one, which seems to be like completely festoon in detail, isn't actually that much detail compared to a modern miniature. But there is definitely some weird sculpting choice. Like if you look at that like stage right shoulder pad there, like once it goes underneath that shoulder pad and it like goes to the shoulder before it gets to the gun, I don't know what that kind of muddled grouping of sculpting is. It doesn't look like anything was properly sculpted in there at all. I did my best. I figured it was some of the red armor plates that were supposed to look like they were being pushed upwards. I don't know. I generally don't know. Sometimes I think the best thing to do is to create negative space on these models, which is if you can't figure out what something is, just paint it in black and pretend it doesn't exist. So like his entire right arm, the one holding the sword, has a million little skulls, and then it's got a sleeve, and I don't know what's going on there. Are those like actual skulls that should be painted like skulls? Are they little metallic skulls? Is it cloth? Is it armor? I just blacked out the whole thing, and I'm telling you, it looks really good. It kind of doesn't draw your attention away from the sword or the awesome kind of chest armor. I think that was the right choice to do. And I don't know what else you would do there. Also with the gun, I decided to go for like an ancient gold, and then obviously lots of silver, and just pick random parts of that gun. Because the gun itself is another thing it's just so many random shapes all glued together. So I don't know what was going on there. But it's okay. I think we made it work. I spent a lot of time on the skin. I spent a lot of time on the red armor, trying to make that pop, getting some edge highlights in there. And the rest of it just kind of got a coat of paint. I spent a bit of time on the bone as well, to be fair. A couple of nice highlights making that pop. There was a lot of bone. He's got like some stick grenades on his back that I decided to do the handles in bone and ivory as well, which I thought was really cool. But when it came to the black, I mean, that's just black contrast paint washed down. And then I just put a coat of Corvus black over the top of it at the end. And it was a fairly solid coat of Corvus black, to be honest. And I just left it like that because I didn't want to try and go in with any lighter grays or anything like that. We also do have to talk about the elephant in the room. Anyone out there that enjoys second edition and is watching me paint this video, I'm sure there's something that you probably have already noticed, and that is that the base is currently brown. I need to explain this to you now in a very polite way. I will never, ever ruin a model with that disgusting green basing scheme. Ever. I don't know who lied to you and told you your models look good on it, because it's not true. They ruin every great paint job that's ever in any of the old catalogs. There's even, and I mean seriously, there's even an article in White Dwarf, and it has an MV Metal painter from back in the day complaining about him having to paint all these awesome miniatures, and then he was finished, he had to put them on these awful green bases. Even the MV Metal team hates the green bases. So yeah, I'm just gonna say that I don't think it's the correct choice for models to be on those green bases. That's the one thing we can just evolve away from. And I'm ready for the torrent of people giving out to me in the comment section, telling me it's all about nostalgia and all that kind of stuff. And sure, that's fine. You can feel that way. You're wrong though. Okay, going in with the highlights of the bone, on obviously his big giant horns that come out of his face, his teeth, his tusks. He's got the weirdest shoes on as well. They're really cool. They're like platform shoes. Maybe he's like a short king and he's a little bit nervous about his height. So he's got these big fat platform shoes on. And then they have like skull tip fronts and like they're awesome, but they're quite funny. There's just a million other little bone details. The pommel of his big sword. I say big sword. It's like a tiny dagger in modern 40k. And then just going in with some silver and gold to highlight the last few kind of metallic parts. I didn't even try and go in and attack his eyes. They're so hooded by his like fur kind of peak bit on his hat. And he's got these big heavy brows underneath it that I feel like if I had added any red in, it would have ruined it. And so I just left it being that like negative space we talked about earlier, just nice and dark and brooding. I don't think it takes anything away. And when we have all of the silver and gold highlighted on this, we're pretty much there. We just need to kind of finish off the base and decide what we're doing with it. And I am on a weird kind of basing journey right now where I'm playing around with lots of shrubs and foliage and flocks and tufts and stuff to try and up my basing game just a little bit. And I tried to think about this guy being deployed on a world like Armageddon where maybe there is still a little bit of growth, but it's not going to be lush and green. So we're going to go for a little bit of kind of burnt tufts and orange, you know, shrubs and stuff like that, which I think will make a big difference. So here the model is fully painted. And now, like I said, I've got these shrubs and stuff that I'm going to be picking and choosing from and taking a few bits from each and applying them to the model. And when that's done, we are left with this, our final finished 2nd edition Ghazghkull Thraka model, ready to lead my 2nd edition orc army to many victories over my friends Blood Angels. It's going to be a good time, and I'm excited to continue on this project when I can get my hands on some more models. Love to know your thoughts and feelings on how the model turned out, and what else you think I should try and get my hands on for my 2nd edition orc army. What do you think is awesome that you'd like to see a video on, and I will do my very best to get my hands on it.